And so that is a true song. That is a true song, y'all. And I got the blues in Nebraska. Let me get everything connected, y'all, on the drive home. Shouts out to all the drivers out there that's transporting our precious cargo. Without a doubt, baby. Our next generation.
How close do I have to be?
Oh, they can hear you good. You can hear you good. You got so Omaha, the Burbs of Bluffs. We got a very special guest in the house. He's a professor. He's a filmmaker. He's a social advocate, activist. I would
Mhm.
say. Um, I guess those are synonyms.
They are.
We see we smart here. We're smart here. We're smart here. We're smart here. Um, you know how these superstars are. They get their own noun, verbs, adjectives, prepositional phrases, all yes, and predicates to introduce themselves. I'm gonna let them go ahead. We're gonna get right into the dialogue. So, how you doing today, bro? Let people
I
know who you
am
are.
doing fantastic. I've been looking very forward to coming to do this, so I'm a little bit excited, really.
Oh, heck yeah, man. Anytime where you can get some, uncensored, unplanned dialogue, so you can really hear the an authenticity of the other information, and hopefully, I know it's going to help someone because we all are dealing with something. We're all are doing something, and so. Why don't you give us a little background of who you are? Because the last time you was on the scene, you was premiering your own movie. Um,
Network. I had the whole network, not just the film.
Okay, yeah. So it's yeah, the network. Let us know how that's transpiring, and what's going on today with you. What socially are actively engaged with?
Well, first of all, once again, thank you very much because, one of the things that there's not enough of today, are people who have platforms such as yours and who are willing to discuss what's going on with us socially as Black folk.
Mhm.
As you know, we're always at the root of some kind of negative
Right, right.
behavior influence. So, we
Right.
always got a conversation
Yeah,
that can
yeah,
be
yeah.
had.
Because we're at the worst end of health. We're at the
Yeah.
worst end when we talk about criminal justice. We're at the worst end, pretty much everything.
Yeah. Yeah. And you asked me, like, what am I into? Well, as you know, my background is in academia.
Right.
And I was a professor and chair in my final years at University of Nebraska at Omaha Black Studies Department. And, I retired 4 years ago. And I thought I was getting ready to go to this uh, pleasing place of nothing to do, and I just hang around, play with the dog. But I started to realize that social activism isn't something you turn on and
Right.
off. You know what I'm saying?
It's part of your nature.
I tell people this all the time, man. I was born a teacher.
Right, right.
It's just part of what makes me work. And the more I started to see how unconscious we are as a society about how we respond and react to certain phenomena, that it's ingrained. And I'm starting to realize that if people like myself don't get out there and help people to understand things, how will they know?
Right now, because we got a lot of other people that's leading dialogue, and they're not experts.
And
The,
you
the,
know
the,
what?
the, the,
It's
the, the,
it's
the,
really it's
the-
really getting me.
yeah, they come from a opinion type of mindset or foundation versus one with experience,
Yes.
as well as with sometimes academia, but experience you cannot outweigh, because even those that don't have high academia have high common sense.
I always put it like this: having a heart doesn't qualify you to be a heart surgeon. It's amazing how we can possess an attribute and fulfill that attribute experientially, but it doesn't mean that we truly understand the mechanism.
Right, right. Yeah, truly, and that's why you get, even today, you got this opinionated. news because
Absolutely.
so you never know if you're getting really accurate news that's been actually researched, fact checked before people put it out on on TV or radio.
And sometimes they know and don't care. As you know, Fox News just settled a $500 million lawsuit where we found out that they were perfectly aware of what they were doing. And, we sort of got in this place, man, where,
Yeah, because I mean, 'cause you come for academia.
yeah,
I mean,
right.
so academia is the foundation of truth, right? Should we be measuring truth, or at least in the academia? I know right now books are being attacked, just like in the past. That they said there's nothing new under the sun.
Mhm.
They burnt the books when they first stole us, our ancestors. So there's nothing new under the sun. But you come from the field of academia. When are we going to have the the playground per se, where we could actually speak truth without being uh demonized?
Well, you know what? That's an excellent question. And I don't think that will ever happen or needs to, regardless as to whether the social terrain is accepting
Uh-huh.
of truth and things that we have. And I want to be careful here because, people are always saying, there's your version, there's my version, there's the truth.
Right. Mhm.
But we come from a culture that is predicated on uh, scientific reality as being the foundation
Right.
for truth.
Right.
Okay, so I'm
Right.
speaking from that. We call it positivism. So
Uh-huh.
I'm speaking from that positivistic point of view that for something to be reality, that we can approve. We can prove that, and we're just at a point where different communities want to believe things, and they become so embedded in our cultural awareness that we don't want to challenge that. And when different groups are doing that, they are simultaneously allowing someone to get away with something that we know is a ridiculous non-truth,
Mhm.
but we can't really say anything because we do the same thing and we don't want that to come back at us.
Right.
So that's why it's allowed to proliferate.
Now, I'm gonna bring an example, and I want to recreate this. And since you come from academia mind, I remember the great debates between William Buckley and James Baldwin,
Mhm.
where they set out to find the truth. Well, you know what I mean? Per
Which is
se.
an
Right, right,
subjective
right,
ideology anyway. But go ahead.
right. So why are we so used to being complacent with the non-truth and satisfied and we're comfortable with it?
Perfect. That's exactly where I wanted to start. Well, we are products. People think of themselves as individuals, but we're not individuals. We're products of a social environment, and that stuff that we think that's just us. These are my thoughts. These are my opinions. This is where I arrive. Is really not true at all. You can't be outside of the context that you're born in. And so what happens in these communities, we call it reification, where a concept becomes so much a part of our reality that not only do we not question it, we're not allowed to. And so that just gets settled in. We think that we can adapt biologically over time, beings change based on their need. But information is the same way. It we can rebirth it and it becomes part of us. And it's like it's so integral to who we are and how we process that it's like snatching the rug from underneath you to acknowledge that.
Mhm.
And that's why it's so hard. Mom and them pass that on to us.
Right, right.
We pass it on to our kids, and it doesn't matter. And as you probably know, um, they think that I'm always coming from this point of view, but I'm not. I'm positivistic in every regard. The Black community in particular has a very, very strong Western Christian religion fundamentalist ideology.
Mhm.
And we're not open to questioning that. And I mean, I know people
Right,
who
right,
are
right.
extremely educated. I know they know better. It's like right now, and I did this just today, by the way. I was talking to a friend in Atlanta, and she was going on and on about religious stuff. And I asked, I said, "What galaxy do we live in?" She said, "What?" I said, "What galaxy do we live in? Do you know that we live in a galaxy?" And now people also think that academics believe I'm smarter than you, and my job is to make you look like a fool. So let me unravel that right quickly. I'm a teacher. My goal is never, ever to reduce someone or make them feel stupid or to make myself seem as if I'm this know-it-all expert. So I want to be clear about that. A teacher's goal is never that. My goal is I want to evolve you. And so the education process, if I might make a slight little detour here,
No, you good because don't you have a teacher also
in what context?
in just life?
Well,
Because
we're all the products of teachers.
right,
Absolutely, yeah.
right.
But see, the thing
Mhm.
becomes this: we think that education is what we call the Jeopardy ideal.
Mhm.
The person who can memorize facts
Right,
and regurgitate them is smart.
right.
And a real teacher will tell you right away, you know, we hate Jeopardy because Jeopardy reinforces this idea that to be smart means to retain information that's there already there
Mhm.
and regurgitate it at will. We
Right.
call it academic bulimia.
Okay.
And so teaching is not, William, me giving you information and then you take it home to what they call study, but we all know is I got to go home and memorize this so
Right.
that when you give me a test, I can
Right.
regurgitate that.
So you've been in academia. You retired. How should we be taught?
We should be taught to think. Now, let me tell you the difference. For example, if someone said, "Oh, I'm giving you a history test," what you expect is there going to be a series of questions with finite answers. You know, what year did Martin Luther King do this? And what color underwear did he have on? And where was he? And whoever knows, meaning what we call know, I'm going to come back to that. Whoever has memorized enough information and can regurgitate it is the smartest.
Okay.
And when that's your academic model, you're in trouble.
Right. That's what I'm saying.
And so I tell people all the time, they get angry. My nephew, I was just going on and on, but he graduated high school and I went down there for that. And his last semester, he had a 4.0. I said, "That's great. Let me look at this." So I pulled I pulled the high school's record and I looked at the content. In other words, what is an A? What does that mean? Just because you made all A's, that made you smart? Because in somebody's opinion, you regurgitated information that I gave to you? So that's part of it.
Right.
Is that we don't see smart or smart people as the ability to think. We see them as antagonistic people who know a whole lot of stuff and want to use that against me.
Right.
So no, that's not the model at all. I never used books, you know.
Okay, now what type of model are you? Are more hands-on model, model where people,
Wow.
or you like teaching out of a lab per se?
Well, I never use books in my classes. They'll tell you, Dr. Akintunde does not use books.
Okay.
I know what my goal is. You know, my doctorate is in curriculum and instruction, and I want to break that down because a lot of times people don't really know what it is you do.
Right.
My PhD is in curriculum and instruction, meaning that I know how to put together information in a way and organize a set of processes to get a person to a desired end. For example, let's say you got a law school and you got a med school and you got the business school, and all of us are going to confer a degree. And so the first thing is, how are you going to do that? How many hours? And basically, most universities, like between 128 and 138 credit hours, earns you a degree. The second thing becomes, well, what's in that degree? What is it that we're saying to this person that At the end of this process, I'm going to give you a bachelor's degree. And what does that mean? And what should we expect that to be? That's where the hell comes in. See, I never like serving on curriculum committees because of that. You know, everybody's got an idea of what those 130 semester hours should be.
Okay.
You got me? Because whatever they are, that constitutes what we believe is an educated person. You with me?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So my process is I don't want you to just memorize facts. I want you to be able to think and be able to confront new information. So with my doctorate being in curriculum and instruction, my expertise is how do I get a person to a desired educational outcome, and what do they need to know in order to achieve that?
Okay.
So class for me was this. When I taught African American studies or Black studies or anything like that, my first thing was to get them to first understand epistemology. And epistemology is the study of knowledge. In other words, you know what you know, but how do you know what you know?
Mm-hmm.
You get me?
Yep.
So first, I want them to be aware of this, and this is one of my primary ideologies that have become so much a part of us, we're no longer aware of them.
So they become almost natural, like breathing.
Yeah, it's, you know, we use this term all the time too, man. I want to break that down. We're always talking about systemic racism, and people really don't know what that means. Systemic means it's in the system, and that's different from systematic. I'll come back.
Mm-hmm.
So what, for example, white people tend to do, and we do too, but I'm going to deal with white people right now. They always, and we do too, ask, are they racist? Meaning that to be racist, you have to perform a set of acts or deeds or things that would demonstrate that to me,
Right.
and therefore I got you.
Right.
But if you don't do anything, you're just neutral to it. The way I expressed it in this article that's in Robin DiAngelo's White Fragility is, for most whites, racism is like murder. The concept exists, but someone has to do it in order for it to happen. Mm-hmm. You get what I'm saying? So racism, they will acknowledge exists, but just target the people who perform the acts that make it a reality.
Right, right.
Systemic racism says, no, it's in the system.
Mm-hmm.
It's in the process. We're all white racists, including Black folk, because we all come from a context and a societal operation that trains us to see the world through what we call the white male gaze.
Let me ask a question. Similar to, and I always say that we're in this syndrome, similar to what Patty Hearst went through, the Stockholm syndrome. Black people are.
Oh yeah.
We have taken on everything that our oppressor have objected us to.
Yeah. Well, we can't help it. The language, for example, we're speaking right now. That's racist. The language itself arises out of the social context.
Right.
I have a good friend who's a Muslim, and he's from one of those countries. I'm not going to use Middle East. I'll come back to that. But he said to me, in our language, native language, there's no such word for democracy. So we don't realize that words themselves arise out of a social situation.
Right.
And a concept can't be if there's no word for it. So he was like, we don't even have a word that means democracy. Mm-hmm. So if you don't have that word, then that conceptually can't exist for you.
Right.
So when we say we're subject to, how can we not be?
Right. I know. I agree with you. I totally agree with you. But a lot of people are in denial. Yeah. I was interviewing a Native American woman, and she said something similar. They don't have I in their vocabulary.
Right. And you know,
you know what I mean? So,
I'm my name, I took Omowale Akintunde is Yoruba. And when I went to Africa and I was in Nigeria and I was in Yoruba land, one of the things that I knew about the language is it has no time element. There's no past, present, or future. But I want to break that down why it's important.
Okay, what's the name of that language? What
Yoruba is the name of the language. Yoruba. Yoruba. A lot of people say Yoruba, but it's Yoruba. And let me tell you why that is. This is how I explain to my students, and this will help you understand how I teach. I say to them, there's a man, he's sitting on the beach, okay? And the sun comes up, and the sun goes down, and the sun comes up, and the sun goes down. And I say, what's happening? Do you know what they always say?
Sun rising, sun setting.
But and I say, so what's happening?
Well, actually, the Earth is rotating.
No, they don't go anywhere near that. They are much more direct, and they just say they're going from one day to the next. now, let me tell you why that's
it's very literal.
They're very literal.
And very true.
And you said the Earth is rotating. Well, that's actually right. But we see time. Oh, I wish I could write. I have to have a whiteboard. We see time as linear. Like, I'll say, go to the board and write out the days of the week with just the first letter, like M for Monday. And they always go left to right.
Right.
So in other words, we see time as a continuum.
Right.
This linear element. And so when we talk about time travel, we always say, I can go back to Monday because it's Friday.
Okay.
And we can project next Friday because all I got to do is let 7 days pass and I'll be at that Friday.
Right.
So it's a line.
Right.
Now, you said, which is very interesting. No, I never hear that. The Earth is rotating. So that tears it up. Because I want to think of time as a linear, continuous movement. And we're going through time. We're going from Monday, and after Monday, there's Tuesday. That's how we think. Now, let me tell you why that's important to your question. Because you asked me, how is it then that we get there? And how is this systemic? Well, it's systemic meaning that if the way that we think and organize information and the way that we draw conclusions based on that is determined through their eyes and context, we're thinking like them.
Right. I agree with you totally.
Yeah.
So
but that's hard for people to see.
No, it's easy. I learned that at 18 when Mr. Faircon said, "Come out of her." he said, "Come out of her," and that means because I went to a Lutheran college, so I learned about Martin Luther.
I went to a Lutheran elementary.
So I learned about Martin Luther coming out of Catholicism. I learned about Greeks and Romans. So I know most of us got a Greek mindset because we think we're superior, we think we're better than the next person, and we got a Roman theology because we all practice some kind of some kind of Protestant or some kind of Catholicism, and that's been going for centuries.
Absolutely.
Since the Romans were in control of Turkey to all the way over to the UK. That was their territory, so they controlled the Bible and the Quran. And
no, they didn't control them; they created them.
Right.
That's a
right.
Much more complex thing. They're not just things that popped into existence.
I agree with you. So now I'm looking at this. And I went to almost all the colleges, almost all the classes I studied: psychology, biology, historical geology, astrology, social geology, anthropology. All of them had labs. I could test, like you said, we base everything off science. I could test it, but except for one class, theology. It didn't have a lab. It didn't have a lab. So the only lab I can test is right now.
That's actually a good point. That's actually a very good point. Well, but given your knowledge and understanding, you realize why that's so and why that's deeply important. Because theological content arises from a set of beliefs, okay? And they can't be understood positivistically because there's no way to do that. But what we as a Black community want to do is exclaim that we can, and it happens.
Right. I said, no, man, come on, man.
Let me tell you something, man. I've been doing this for decades. Even though you state that so easily and simplistically how it's set up, that's a very hard thing to get across. And it goes back to your first question. How does it stay with us? Well, it stays with us, even though they heard what you just said.
Right.
They heard that. I'm still not going.
They're still defending.
I'm still going to defend it. And then that goes back to this ideological content you were talking about, the Romans and the Greeks and all of them. But we've been fed that in every way, through our schools, through the news, through everyday processes. I call it street sense. So after a while, you come to think, I know what I know. And I can't move you. And let me tell you, that worked for the power structure. Because if I can keep this group thinking like that, they're not going to challenge that authority. You get what I'm saying?
I agree with you.
And that's
it takes two groups to participate in a system: the oppressor and the oppressee.
Yes. And they both, hold on, let's add this. This is one you might not agree with right away. And they both have to have the same goal. In other words, the oppressor wants to oppress you, and the oppressed want to be oppressed. Now,
Right.
you're probably going to.
No, I agree with you because some people are complacent and they're happy with their life, even though they know that they've been subjected to racism every day, and so but myself, I got two black grand boys, 6 and 2. I took my mama before she got total dementia. We took her back home to Summer, Mississippi, where they had a trial for Emmett Till. She grew up in that town, and so the plantation house still stands. When you walk out the door, it's cotton fields everywhere. When you go back in her back of her house, she got all kinds of pecan trees, walnut trees, apple. They had like a garden of Eden behind their house because that's what they ate. So I'm looking at the generations. I'm imagining myself in Mississippi. I said, Dad, could I have gotten away? It took me about 5 hours, 2 hours to drive down there, and I didn't realize Mississippi is mostly forest.
Oh, I'm from Alabama.
Yeah. It's mostly forest down there. So I imagine myself. I said, "Could I have ran away?" No.
Well, that's kind of like why I love it so much. People always say, "Omaha, why do you love Omaha?" Because I'm always going, I love Omaha. Uh-huh. Omaha is so different in terms of its topographical setup. Mm-hmm. Like down south, you can't see a block.
Right, it's too many tall trees.
Much stuff. Here is so open, and the moment the plane arrives, I just take a deep breath because, like, wow, I can see again.
Right,
but I want to go back to that point because you said something so important just now. When you readily agree that if you took those concepts to everyday guy, they're gonna still defend what they want. Now that goes back to the point of your first question of how do we stay here? That's how we stay here. Because we're stuck in a mindset that even if I deconstruct it for you and show it to you in a logical way that that's not true, I'm going to still stay here. Mm-hmm. That's how we stay here. That's why we still have a hood. That's why in Mobile, it's the same way. Right. West Mobile means I got money, I live in these great houses with white people, and I got stuff. It's every city I've ever been to.
Right.
It's set up the same exact way.
Why aren't we're supposed to be the most intelligent people at this present time?
We'll get back to that too. Go ahead.
We're supposed to be. Mm-hmm. Last time I was in Washington, D.C., right? I go up there and lobby because that's where all our decision makers are. Man, they're still making decisions based off of non-unity. I mean, all these national organizations during the pandemic, like our senators here, they got like $300 million now. Everybody not happy with how it was distributed. but if we had a national plan where we had that amount of money come to every state for black folks and brown folks, we could have done that.
And I would go on Facebook and I would see the people who are being harmed most telling us, don't take the vaccine.
Right.
It's going to kill you. And I say to them, what's based on what? Well, give me what studies have you done to show? Nothing. I just tell you things. So in other words, what I'm saying to you, man, the way that the system has been set up is for white oppression to dominate you and for us to defend that domination. Like that a lot or not. Because like you said, if I go tell and they're going to still hold to it. That was the plan. Mm-hmm. So you ask, what do we do? What we're doing right now, this is why I told you I really meant this. I'm glad that you do what you do. Unless we start having these, one of the shows on the network is called Difficult Conversations in the Hood. Mm-hmm. We need to start having some difficult goddamn conversations about things that are holding us up that we don't want to let go of.
Right.
And one of the primary institutions for Black folk is Western ideological religion.
Mhm.
Because the whole idea behind, if everything that's in a racist society is racist, then that means that the concept of it must be designed to carry out my goals.
Mhm.
So I don't think that people get that. I do get it. I mean, you know, there's a book by John Hope Franklin called Born a Child of Freedom, Yet a Slave that everybody needs to know about. John Hope Franklin, Born a Child of Freedom, Yet a Slave.
Mm.
And I came across this in my doctoral program, and this is what his basic thesis in the book said.
Okay. You want water?
I do. And I had some my Suburban Crack Mountain Dew in the car and left it. Go ahead. But he said that the whole idea behind enslaved African people and religion was the slave owner was saying to the slaves, now listen to this good, because this is going to really get you. He said their basic ideological space was, I want you to pray to my God and ask him to tell me to set you free.
Right.
I'm going to say that one more time because I don't know if people get that. I want you, William,
Right.
to pray to my God and ask him to tell me to set you free. Mm-hmm. Do you realize how warped that sounds? Mm-hmm. But when your mind is caught up in it, you can't see the warp. You not only don't see it, you defend it.
Right.
If you didn't do that, it would never change. And let's be clear, that went on for 4 centuries.
Yeah.
And I would say to people, well, during those 4 centuries, popes came and left. You had churches, you had all those things. So why wasn't this deity involved in that 400 years?
Right.
No, I don't want to hear that. And they'll even go so far as to say he freed us.
Who?
The deity.
What deity?
The God that they believe in, whatever that is.
Oh, Jesus?
Well, in Western religion, yeah, but it could be Allah, it could be the Messiah. The point I'm making is everything in a society is designed to promote the interests of the persons in charge.
I agree with you totally.
And we have to start having these difficult conversations. You brought up something about intelligence. I want to break that down. You know, I'm always talking about social constructs. And I want to break that down. A social construct is simply something that the society made up, but it becomes so reified, meaning intrinsically imposed into our community that we just see it as truth. Now, intelligence is one of those things. So people say, oh, my IQ is this. I got an IQ of 900. What does that mean? That means I took this test, and I'm going to come back to that. And based on that test, that's my big score. So this is how smart I am. And so I'm going to ask you some questions. And again, my goal is never to try to make anybody feel bad.
Oh, no, you're good. You're
okay.
Good.
So let's look at that IQ test so we can talk about intelligence, because you said some of those people are intelligent. And see, when we say some of those people are intelligent and I don't follow up with a question, that means that our epistemologies are in sync, meaning that whatever you intend that to mean, I interpret it as meaning that. Okay. Do you get that?
Yep.
So we all got that.
Right.
Let's say this IQ test that you're taking has 100 questions on it. And if you get all of the 90 to 100, you're very, very smart. Okay. And if you get 80 to 90, you're smart. If you get 70 to 80, yeah. What? Yeah, a little averagey there, but okay. 60 to 70, you're starting to slack on me. Anything below 60, you're a moron. Right. Now, do you know what my question always becomes?
Why they have all those levels?
Nope. That's a good one. But nope.
My opinion, it teaches people to attack their self-esteem. I think it goes I think it goes more mental when you create a system that teaches you failure, and that's what I think the current teaching system is directed towards. It teaches failure, affects people's self esteem. Like you said, based off of people who can't remember faster than someone else. So on my ACT, for example, I got a 9. However, I think they consider that retarded. I think. However, I finished in the top half of my class.
Which goes back to that 4.0. When somebody tells me my kid got a 4.0, I say, what does that mean? I don't know what the content was. I don't know who taught. I don't know anything. So let me tell you something. You did something that's real representative of what we're talking about. You answered in a very logical Western way. Your thought of what I was thinking was the impact of that test, what it's doing, what it's saying, what it's building. Mm-hmm. That's very Western to start there.
Okay.
I'm way, way, way before that.
Okay.
My question is, what are the 100 questions and who came up with those 100 questions? Because whoever got to decide that if you know all of the answers to these 100 questions, you're smart. They're not just telling you how smart you are. They're telling you what smart is, because whoever gets to compose that test, this goes back to curriculum and instruction.
Right, okay.
Whoever gets to come up with the test is a very powerful MF, because I'm also telling you what you need to know to be smart.
Right.
So let's go back to these are intelligent people. Okay. And epistemology, and when you said that, I didn't say what's intelligent, because that's what I would normally do, and then people start getting angry. Hell, you know what intelligent is. You're smart. Well, what is smart? So what I'm saying to you is we live in a culture where we learn these answers without realizing that we do. And so that becomes part of us. I hate IQ tests because I'm always saying to them, who came up with these questions that make you smart? What if I came up with, and I do that with my students now, you ask, how do I teach? So in my class, I would say, create an IQ test.
Right.
And everybody would come back, and I said, I would usually do like not 100. I just want to get them thinking. Right. I would say, come up with 10 questions.
Right.
And you're saying to these people, if you can answer all 10, you're smart. If you can answer 9, you're pretty good. You get what I'm saying?
Right.
And everybody comes in with their IQ test.
Right.
And I make some typo. I said, now redistribute them to everybody.
Right.
And everybody takes somebody's IQ test.
No, that is an experiment, because I know everybody got.
Oh, it's more than an experiment.
Because I know everybody got 10 different questions.
Right, but that's my point. But I want them to think. I'm trying to get them to see that you've been running around bragging on your IQ score, and your IQ score is no different than what we just did. So, who is it that we've decided can determine for us what intelligent is and who it is?
Right.
See, so I just want to say, we need to start asking, what's intelligent? Who am I calling intelligent? What is smart? It's very suspect. The second thing, because you brought this up, I give all of the students an envelope, and in each envelope, it has either a brand new crisp $1 bill, or a piece of white paper cut to the dimensions of a $1 bill.
Okay.
And I tell everybody, open the envelopes. You can hear people go, oh, wow. And I'm like, okay, good. Everybody's happy. And they were like, no, I didn't get a damn thing. I said, what did you get? He said, all I got was some paper. And I said, and who got something different? And they'll point to somebody with money and go, she did. I'm like, what did she get? She got $1. I said, looks like paper to me.
Paper.
And so now, but see, I'm trying to get you to think.
Right.
We always talk about what can money buy and what money can do, but we never ask the question, what is it? It's just a piece of paper. Right. So when we keep talking about it, we finally get to, okay, it's just a piece of paper, but it's different because it's green and it's got, so I'm ready for that too. I've already cut out pictures of white guys and numbers, and I hand them out. I said, so put the guy's picture and the numbers on there. And they go, but it still is not going to be money. I said, but you said the difference was it had this green color, it had George Washington's picture in the middle, and it has numbers in the corner. And I gave you that. And it was like, it's still. And then finally somebody says the word I've been waiting for. They call it counterfeit. I said, oh, okay, so let's talk. So we start talking about what money is. So money is just paper. So I said, well, what makes that powerful? And finally, after a conversation, because we have to get there, they'll tell me because we believe it does. Right. So now I'm back to my original point, is to tell you that everything that you believe in is like that money. It's a set of ideologies and things you've been taught directly or indirectly. Sometimes you even, it's just part of it. Right. That's all. Right. That this money, that all you want to talk about is how it's spent, what it does, who got it, how we allocated it. We need to be talking about the money itself. How much was printed last year? I asked them. All right. Well, how much is in circulation? How much of it is counterfeit? What is money? Are you with me?
Yeah. They call money as a debt note.
But see, you're still after the fact. When we start talking about the entity in terms of what it is and what it does and what it can do, you've already accepted its reality. That's where the problem is.
Well, we determined the money system because we were selling fur and trading oils, and that was the exchange of trade or money.
Go back some more.
Before then, I think they on the shores of the new land, they call it Africa.
Back some more.
I know they did.
Back some more. Back some more.
I don't know.
Still ain't at the beginning yet. Because my question was, well, actually, was your question.
Right.
How did it start?
Well, it starts with the capture of our ancestors, and
no, that's no, that you're way past where does it start. If money is a piece of paper, like the class told me, and you can put things on it, white guys' pictures, some numbers in the corner, and some things, and our belief makes it real.
Right.
You still ain't all the way at the beginning then, because all of that stuff happened. What motivated the invention of it?
You have to control. The have did not want the have-nots to get it.
That's still after.
Give us an answer, Professor.
Well, it's not. That's what I'm trying to get to. So it's not an answer in a sense. So what did money do? Why would you create that?
It's always some type of control and power.
Yeah, but what is that? What? How did it come into existence?
Caesar.
That still isn't. Let me help you out.
Okay.
Money, we call it capital and capitalist. It's to get you to work. Let me tell you, if for a long time, you brought this up about Mississippi, and they had all this stuff in the backyard. We all lived on a farm. You grew your food right at the house.
Right.
And now we get into the industrial era and factories, and people need to go to work. Well, how do you compensate that? In other words, if you're at work all day and you're not at home raising vegetables and meat and doing all of that, how do we eat? Money is the compensatory value by which I can get you to work for me without you having to be there to do the stuff. You can go and get it from Jim. Now, Jim stays at home and grows everything, and he's not going to the factory, but he's got the food. So what's an exchange between you and him? I can't give him part of the factory. So the factory pays you money, and you give that money to him, for which he now has purchasing value. Right. So that was always the idea behind money, was to make sure we have a working class. And how do we compensate them and keep this engine rolling? That's capital. And by the way, we print that. So then the question I always say becomes, who's printing it? And how much are they printing? And why don't we even see? We don't even think to ask the question, how much got printed? How much is in circulation? Right. It doesn't even dawn on us. It's like we're designed to not think about things.
Right. Yeah, right now. And they've been debating this debt ceiling. And I said, damn, what is this debt ceiling? What is the debt ceiling? Because I don't know the whole gist of it, but I know they've been arguing about
based on this
ceiling.
Conversation, what could it be?
More debt, and they want to
yeah, after the fact. So hold on, to get to debt, they already telling you we've already spent that money.
We spent the money, yeah.
Okay, so if the money they spent was the paper that they created,
right? How
does it become a problem? How do you run out of what you're making?
Yeah.
Well, let's talk. See,
that's what trips me out, especially since the dollar is the world currency.
Don't even go that far. That's too smart. Don't go that far. That's too smart. Let's stay with this. How do you run out of what you're making? They print the money.
Yeah. How do you? Well, you can't.
So that's when you start asking the deeper questions. Then, because the whole idea, the idea behind money was to promote workers and have a working class that will do your work and not worry about how they're going to eat and sleep, because now you got this currency of exchange, right? Then that will take us back to this debt ceiling. How can you run out of, because people always ask me, I was when, University of Nebraska is tuition free now. And they were like, well, where's the money coming from? I was like, on Constitution Avenue, where it's always come from. See, that's how we think. Wow, what a great opportunity. I'm worried about where that money came from. You're never thinking about how something can value you. You're too quick to defend the system.
Right.
So they want to know, well, where that money comes from. Well, where does our money come from? Let's ask that. As you know, in fact, and the kids do this, the kids are better. Kids, and they would always say, Doc, and I was like, what they mean. I said, what do you mean? They were like, you go to the ATM, it says you got $500. And you put this card in, or you pay this bill, and now it says you got $400. Right. What exchanged? They always ask me that when I charge this. What? So it said I had $400, and now I got $490 because it said I spent $10 on that hamburger. Right. What was the exchange?
Yeah, it went dollars. It was 1 zeros.
But I'm saying there was no physical currency that moved.
Yeah, it's all computer language.
Right. So the kids are smart, because now they're saying to me, well, when you think about it, we've gotten beyond the physical currency. We don't even need that. Right. It's all here. Got me? All of the issues in the brain, in the mind, and we believe, which brings me to my second big topic today, because I want to make it to everything. Right. I said we're going to talk about sex and gender. Now, before we even start talking, I want us to think about the conversations we've had. Right. Because that means if it's all here and there's always some explanation, there's something behind it. See, we want to talk about, you said something the last time I really wanted to get into, but I can do it today. We were talking about transgender persons, which, by the way, we're such a patriarchal society. We only think about persons who we think, by our definition of men, we're going to come back denying that transgender is never about persons who pose as men. Think about that. Like, it's always, there's this guy who's dressing up or doing something like a woman, but we never think of.
I never see a woman dressed up like a man.
Yeah, sure you do. Sure you do.
For like shows?
Sure you do.
They do like drag shows?
They're drag queens. Of course they are. But even before we can get, I don't even want to get to that. Okay. But yes. Okay. But no, I mean everyday life.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
You don't know, and we're gonna get to that and transgender part.
Well,
I know all the stuff.
Everybody.
I know.
It's about
they're all social constructs. The idea of heterosexuality, homosexuality, boy and girl, all of that is socially constructed. Sexuality is not a part of a microcellular process. We invented it, and I'm going to show you how. Okay, you know where all of this, all of this stuff comes from?
Well, I know. I learned it in psychology.
All the way back now. You got to go all the way back now.
Oh, I try not to read children's books. So I don't know about the Bible or the Quran.
Ridiculous up anyway.
I don't know about them, so I really don't know.
And that's the truth. We are, and they always say, "Oh, you're just trying to make me believe these things, and you want me to be." I'm like, no, not at all. Actually, I get that. The first time I heard that gender was a social construct, that threw me too. How? If you got a wee wee, you're a boy, and if you got a woo woo, you're a girl. What's the fact got to do with that? Yeah. Let me tell you how we got there. We got to go all the way back. We got to go all the way back to unicellular organisms, and I'm going to introduce 3 terms to get us there, and that's prokaryote, eukaryote, gamete, and one more, zygote, and I'm going to get you there.
Okay.
All life on this planet, on this earth, all of it came out of the water. All life started in the water. And unicellular organisms were either eukaryote or prokaryote. And let me tell you the difference. Prokaryote cells don't have a nucleus.
Okay.
It's just organelles, material in it. Eukaryote have a nucleus and all of that stuff going into it. And let me tell you, we can live out here because we can breathe air. I'm going to come back to that. As you know, we have fish and things that live in water would die out here. It's
but still breathe air.
Oh no. When you take a fish out of the water, it's dead.
I know, but whales breathe air.
But that's a mammal. They have to.
Yeah. And dolphins.
Right, but I'm talking about non-mammalians.
Okay.
But yes, that is true. And that's a good point.
But when you take them out, they're still gonna die.
Who?
The whale and the dolphin, because their environment still.
They're not gonna die from breathing air.
No, they're gonna die from the lack of water from their.
Well, they don't have to have water.
You don't think so?
Well, they're mammals.
Yeah, but when they beach themselves, they die eventually.
But that's because of the lack of access to the things that they were eating and doing.
Right, okay,
but their air ain't killed them.
No, the air didn't kill them. I agree. Yeah.
They just can't eat.
Right.
Sitting up there on the beach, you're going to starve to death. But that's a good point because a lot of the kids ask that. Well, let me tell you how we got to out of the water to land. Because we got to get to how humans came about, and then we're going to get to gender. So the way it happened is you got these eukaryotes and prokaryotes, and one of them has a nucleus and one of them doesn't. So what happened eventually was the prokaryote can do fine. It doesn't have a nucleus, it could be anywhere, but the eukaryote can't. So they became dependent on each other. The prokaryote cell engulfed the eukaryote and it lived inside of it. So that was the start of mammalians, because now those things in the water can exist out, because if it's inside that prokaryote, it's protected from the air and it can leave water.
Interesting.
So, I'm going to go through this kind of quickly, but I'm just trying to show you how I'm going to get to boy and girl.
Okay.
So, right there, our idea of boy-girl started. Now, they were just cells. It's just a prokaryote and a eukaryote.
Right.
And they started this symbiotic relationship where we're dependent on each other. Okay? We would start male-female thinking with that. Do you see it?
So, but they're two different organisms, though.
Right, and I'm going to get there, but I'm saying we start our mental process of creating gender and binary from those two unicellular organisms that had nothing to do with it.
Okay.
One was just nucleus. The one that has the nucleus now is the prokaryote, which means I can leave okay because I'm not going to be making direct contact with air. Right. That's the start of it. Okay. So, if you will, I'm going to take a little leap here and say, so in our mind, the prokaryote is a female.
The one that engulfed it.
Exactly.
And the nucleus is the sperm.
Yeah. Well, we ain't there yet. But that's how we're already thinking about it.
Okay.
So you see, there's no gender there. And right now,
no, just cells.
That's it. And it's still the same right now. We're still those two cells. That's it. So they leave water. And that's where speciation starts. You know, the kids will ask you things. Grown kids will say things. Well, how did birds get here? And why do they fly? And why do they'll ask you that?
I got grandkids.
I know, but grown folk, God did it. Shut up.
No,
I know, but you know what I'm saying. Right. Speciation means that when these unicellular organisms became land-bound, they adapted to whatever was necessary for that entity to survive. Was that bipedality? Was that wings? Was whatever that was. So all these different things. So the first things out of the water were reptilians. Okay. And you got a backbone now, and you can live in air and all that kinds of stuff. Those reptiles now develop, because you know, we look at the dinosaurs and we look at reptiles. They were talking about this the other day. They look exactly alike.
Yeah.
So all that adaptation is happening. And when we get to hominids, which is the start of what would become humans, hominids were ape-like creatures. Are you with me? And you know, the Neanderthal and Australopithecus and all of that, we're there now, but we're still those two cells. We're still those two cells. And the reason that works for us, because it has nothing to do with gender, is a cell has two ways of procreating. It'll just divide itself up, like just divide it, man. But everything that comes from that divided prokaryote is exactly like what?
The original.
That's the original. And that means if the original had cancer, everything afterwards got cancer too. The reason we call that diploid cells, the reason it works better is because if the thing that it creates is the combination of two different things, it has a much better chance of survival.
Right.
So everything reproduces either what we call sexually, and I want to break that down. When we think of sex, we're thinking of doing Pornhub. From a biological stance, sexual simply means that the entity that evolves comes from two separate things. Are you with me? And that's why we're still the same. We're still eukaryotes and prokaryotes. Now, again, we would call that prokaryote a lady and a eukaryote a guy. We can go down to the sperm. That gives me back to zygote and gamete. So sperm and egg are the same thing. You know, plants is pollen and the stigma, and the insects get the pollen. Same concept. But we started this idea that they were male and female biologically. So they're gonna start there. Got questions before I continue?
Well, you know, the religious people are gonna be mad at you because they never heard those terms.
Oh no, they have. Let me tell you something.
Because they say we're fashioned from the dust.
But let me tell you something.
We're fashioned from the dust, brother.
You know, I had a professor. His name was Dr. Martin Burgee, and he said two things I won't ever forget. And one of them is to entertain the ridiculous promotes it. In other words, and I'm not calling people ridiculous. I'm not calling people stupid. I'm not going to even have that. If somebody came to me and said, "Omowale, the moon is made of blue cheese," and I sit there and debate that with you, I'm giving credence to your point.
Mhm.
But I'm saying we're too intelligent men. You know, we're not going down that path.
Right.
Okay. So we get this idea. Biologically, they're referred to as male and female, but it had nothing to do with a gender. It's a way of delineating a prokaryote and a eukaryote.
Mhm.
Because really, you don't even need the case. A woman can get I talk about IVF all the time, in vitro fertilization. We just need to have sperm and egg meat.
Right. but still,
Cloning, by the way.
Yep.
Go ahead.
I mean, but it's still, I mean, regardless if you want to just call us by our new names, it's still different.
Well, nobody's just acknowledging that it's different.
Right.
But we're just acknowledging gender.
I mean,
so let's get. I'm gonna show you how we do it. You're doing it already.
Right.
We haven't even gotten there, and you're already presenting these. And I'm not meaning that in a bad way.
No.
Yeah,
I'm saying the terms that you just used.
Uh-huh.
Why can't we just use those terms?
We do, because people don't make a distinction between sex and gender. Male and female is sexual. That means the organ.
Okay.
But that's not gender.
So what's gender?
Well, let's ask right now. I got to tell you something.
Yeah.
You better get ready for this.
No, go ahead because
I'm a girl.
Because
I'm a girl.
So you're a girl.
Yeah.
Based off of what? Based off.
I have a vagina.
So that's what you chose.
No, I'm saying that's what I was born with.
Okay. So physiologically. Because well, you know.
Stay with me.
No. Some knowledge we're not privy to.
So there you go. Now let me tell you about that lack of I'm not privy to. So when I told you that I was a biological woman, your next question, obviously, whether you is to reinforce our idea of gender. Because I don't have privilege. I want to get to that's a name for that. When you say I don't have privilege, of course you don't. But we claim that's what's important to know. But everything that you name, let's go back through them. Body shape.
Mm-hmm.
Women got wide hips and a small waist. Why?
Because they carry babies.
They carry babies. That's it.
Mm-hmm.
Women, you know what? I remember when the whole formula shortage thing came. And I wrote something on Facebook. I said, I was a little crude. I can be crude. I think I said tits or titties or something. I'm like, those big tits up there ain't for Playboy.
Right.
How are you running out of formula and your ass got them big ass titties sitting up there?
Right. I agree with you.
They attacked me.
They shouldn't have, because they got breasts. That's what the breast milk was there for.
I don't care. I'm a teacher. But I'm just saying, I was attacked on Facebook. I could pull it up. They attacked me. They did. They attacked me. You're always trying to push this freaky shit off on people. That's your whole thing. And you want everybody to be a freak and think like you. And they went on, and I just let it go. Because let me tell you, it's hard to do anything that could really make me move or hurt me. I'm too exposed.
Right.
But they attacked me. I'm back to your original, how this stays in place. But those are milk glands.
Right.
We sexualize them, which brings us to, we look at the National Geographic and we look at those persons in, let's say, Africa, and the women are running around without a bra on, and we call them U-word.
Mm-hmm.
You know U-word?
I thought it was natural.
No, because you're thinking.
What U-word?
Uncivilized.
Oh.
And I'm telling you that it wasn't to elicit a sympathetic.
Oh, no.
I just want to tell you that.
No, because everybody, because man, I'll tell you, when I'm out in public, people we don't know who we're affecting by a conversation. So, I'm so humble when brothers come to me and say, man, your conversation, who you talk to, the diverse conversation that we have is so, because everybody is going through something and everybody's not the same. Right.
Well, the only reason I'm doing that is not because, and I know this gets me in trouble. I know. By the way, people think I'm not self-aware. I'm very self-aware, and I know I have this thing where I can like, come on. It wasn't that you're actually going great places. I love the guys like you in my classes because I can just feed off of them. So you're actually, I'm just trying to walk you there slowly.
Right.
I to make that observation to show you how all of these things are already shaping my world before I knew what it was.
Mm-hmm.
I can remember the first time, and I talk about this in the book, I was called a sissy.
Mm-hmm.
And I had no idea what that meant or anything. But I started to come to understand, as children do, we don't just discuss it.
Uh-huh.
There were a certain set of behaviors. Like one of them we talked about, you know, how you act and all that.
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't boy enough.
Okay.
Now, let me be clear. I had no idea what any of these things meant. I even talk about this in the book.
Mm-hmm.
I had no idea what sex was. Mm-hmm. I didn't know anything like that. But the grown folk, listen to me good, William. Mm-hmm. They were always shaping my reality.
Okay.
This otherization, this you're over here. I was feeling that already. I didn't understand male and female. I didn't understand masculine and I didn't understand that.
So you felt the environment pushed you to that direction.
I'm saying,
but based off
of, and what do you mean push me in that direction?
Or a direction where you felt like you was
yeah, but they're not aware. They're no more aware than I am. That's what I'm trying to tell you. Mm-hmm. People, you said it so well earlier, I can't say it as well, but people are always absorbing and responding to their. Mm-hmm. And this little boy who hasn't gotten old enough to absorb all those things is already being impacted by it, is what I'm saying to you. Because people say, well, why are you making such a big deal? Because you don't know what you're doing. Because I'm just a little boy. And I can feel what you're doing. You're telling me that. And then when you add in all the other shit, the religion and the preachers, if you saw a difficult conversation, it blew my mind. I'm saying to you that all of this stuff that we think makes you this are biological adaptations that we have turned into other things. Mm-hmm. You know, if she's too ugly or she needs this and you're not giving me that hourglass. See, you know, like the hourglass figure in Western society has become a dietary goal. In other words, I can make you look like that, or you can do things, you can deny certain things, because I need you to fit the mold. Right. I think it was Lisa, the WNBA player. This is what she said. She told a great story. She said that she was at a bar with one of her male friends, and what's the black? She's from Mobile too. That was in Orange Is the New Black.
Okay.
I can't think of her name now, but you know who I'm talking about. You know she's from my hometown, and you know she has a twin brother.
Oh,
well, you know they actually use it on that. This affect black people. First of all, it starts this otherization thing, and in my book, I really detail how I came into this awareness because I didn't understand all this stuff, and people were saying it to me long before I knew what it even meant.
Wow.
Yeah. Well, you know, you can bleep stuff out if you want. The one, my brother who hasn't talked to me since I was 19, I remember I had two brothers. They both tortured me, and we never had a relationship because I was a thing. Right. Long before I knew what that was. So what I would do, William, when I realized that it was about this behavior, it was about acting male, acting female, just talking to you. Right. But evidently something is telling you something else because I keep hearing this. Right. So now I need to find out what the hell this is. Right. So I get in the mirror and practice. Right. And I remember that, how important that was for me to find a way. We had one bathroom. I had two brothers. I had two sisters and my dad and two. It was horrible. So I had to find bathroom time to look in that mirror and practice because I wanted to be like these other friends of mine that nobody was saying that to them.
Right.
So I'm saying to you, in addition to all this ideological shit, we're setting all of that up ourselves. And though Black people don't like to talk about it, I heard that at church. That was Hilary McGrew. I wrote about him in a paper I did. But he was the flaming queen that led the choir. You start to see all these layers is what I'm saying to you, man. And so I tell them all the time, do you not understand? I'm nearly 70 years old. I don't know too much shit you can bring me, bro. Right. Yeah, I've been dealing with being Black, being gay, being all those things for as long as I can remember.
Right.
So let's conclude then where we are.
Well, we appreciate you coming in and having a candid conversation. We talked about a host of things that stimulate hopefully stimulated someone's brain.
Right. But I want to put a knot on this gammy thing because first of all, sex is not gender. And we even know that that's not, we're going with XY chromosome. We even know that there's a whole lot of variation going on there. I'm not going to get into that. So when we refer to a person's gender, that's not their sex.
Yeah, you wouldn't know.
Well, the way we use it. See, I even hear like, quote unquote, highly educated people do it. You were born with this gender. You were not born with a gender. You were born with a sex that we genderized.
Right.
Are you with me? So people are not trying to fool people. I brought you some stuff I want to leave, which I want to read you something real quick. It says in 1955, the controversial and innovative sexologist John Money first used the term gender in 1955.
Oh, really?
In a way that we all now take for granted to describe a human characteristic. Money's work broke new ground, opening new fields of research in sexual science and giving currency to medical ideas about human sexuality. Because, when people say, oh, well, this trans person went and got a vagina or whatever, that didn't come from that community. That came from the scientific community introduced that.
Right.
So in other words, if you're saying you're a girl, I got to make you a girl. And my idea, I really didn't realize how deep it was. And I've been a Black man longer than you. Yes, I did not realize how deep it was.
We're like robots out here.
I know, but we got to stop it. And the reason I told you that personal story was to let you know that this isn't just a cerebral conversation. It has impact on people's lives.
Right.
Real deep impacts.
And those conversations need to be had. So people that never had this conversation before now can at least be introduced.
Absolutely. That's why that's why we're doing things.
And I know at 95.7 the ball, so man, we got to make sure that we can't use the same tactic of conquer and divide.
But they don't know. The reason I'm doing the show, and I'm so glad you're having me, is people think that when a person like me is trying to talk to them, I'm trying to get them to accept something that's horrible. I don't want to accept. And all I'm trying to get them to see, it has nothing to do with any of that. We're just so misshaped in our understanding that gender is a natural thing based on your genitalia at birth. And you're trying to get me to go against that. And I'm saying to them, I'm not trying to get you to go against anything. I'm simply saying to you that genitalia is not sex. And neither is our gender. Right. Gender are all the things that we have put together. I always use stick man. I wish they could see it. I'm gonna have you do it. Draw a stick man. Right. Real quickly. Hurry up. Make it a lady. Okay, now Let me tell you why that's deep.
You got some shoes.
Like, you don't have to go that far. But when I asked you to draw a stick man, you drew a circular head, a long line that's the thoracic area, and it ended with 2 legs and 2 arms, and that was a stick man, nothing. And I said, making a stick, we made it natural.
How do we get out of that habit?
What we're doing right now. The next time a person draws a stick man, they're going to think about it. The next time you're looking at your children draw a stick, you think about it. Yeah. The next time, I wrote on the Facebook the other 2-year-old girls with 2-piece bathing suits at 2. They got the top, no titties. They're just 2, but they're already
right. Yeah,
all of these things. What I'm trying to say to you, my brother William, is all of these things are constantly defining for us this important position in human reality of this binary of who's boy and who's girl. And when you depart from that, these are the ways we deal with it. My brother, I told you, I'm nearly 70. He has not spoken to me since I was 19 years old.
Do you know where he is?
I know where he is. He lives in Detroit.
Okay.
But it doesn't listen to me. That wasn't to elicit sympathy. I'm simply saying to you that that's how we respond to it, and that's how you keep people in line. People do know this stuff, and when they hear it, the reason they reject it is I won't know what to do, and you'll push me away, and I want to stay. So we go along with things to stay part of the group.
Okay.
So it's hard to let go, and we need to stop it.
Yeah, I agree with you without a doubt. We all have free will. Brother Sam says, "Doctor, long time. Hope you're doing well." Sam Cortez.
Oh, okay, got it.
Right, Sam Cortez. So no, man, I really appreciate your knowledge. You kind of like you remind me of brother. He doesn't believe in God. Get me, all Jamal. And I love.
Oh yeah. Well, I want to deconstruct that statement for one moment, please.
Well, you believe in something because you're an atheist.
No, I don't. But listen, I want to deconstruct that.
But I love y'all the way y'all think.
But I need to deconstruct.
Go ahead,
because we have to.
Right.
When people say you don't believe in God, that's really one of the ways we keep this thing in our head. It's not about beliefs. I tell people all the time, do you realize how little we mean to anybody, especially as Black people? Nobody cares about what we believe. The universities are not changing anything. We're still producing PhDs. Nobody cares about that. We really need to say, accept, not believe. It's not a belief. It's like you were saying, come on now. We know evolution. It's not something you can choose to believe in. And nobody cares. I'm out here doing this because I want to see us be better.
Right.
I'm watching how our children are growing, and I'm watching how we think. And I'm seeing how we're reproducing some very negative things because we use ostracizing. I don't want to call somebody who's not here. But there was a person who said to me that after they watched the network and enjoyed it, and they were trying to discuss with their family and told them their thoughts, they stopped speaking to him.
Why?
See, that always bothers me too. Because when people say that, I'm like, we know perfectly. You tell people, I don't accept your Jesus. This is a bunch of bullshit. And you know that's why. You can't go against that norm. I don't know. And they always go, why? I'm like, what you mean why? You've been Black a minute now. You know how shit works. So we use ostracizing as a way of controlling.
Right. Kind of like overseer.
Yeah, because I tell them about my brother, because I'm like, why would you be shocked?
Nah. It's just.
But we need to stop saying that. We need to say, I know that's normal. I know that that's the way it works. Not only have I had a great life, I had a life that, as a Black man, I often wonder how the hell I even had it. So I'm not like sitting on a pool of
Mm-hmm.
whatever it is you think I said.
Well, it could on the decision making. No matter what you went through, obviously you made some great decisions because you're here today.
No, no, no. You know what? And I know I keep coming back to this because I go through it so much.
Mm-hmm.
We have really got to start checking our epistemology. It's like
Not tell some meanings of that, Professor.
how we know and how our subconscious, when we're speaking, that we think we're just speaking from,
right?
That it's coming from a source that's always defending our oppression.
Okay.
So, because what we tend to do is when we're having a conversation, we're so busy defending what we said or empathizing with what was said that we're not really listening and having the conversation. You get what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So I never say things to elicit a sympathetic response or to spank somebody for. I'm just saying that one of the ways it stays present is our pretense that we don't see it.
Okay.
And it's really, really something. You know, we got a lot of subscribers from all around everywhere, but I'm always talking about the Omowale experience. It's so amazing to me what people will do to not see what they don't want.
Mm.
You know, it's like that Trump thing. I'm like, we're watching the guy. I was watching it live.
Mm-hmm.
I saw, and they still get on television and say that didn't happen.
Right.
But the reason we can't say anything because we do the same thing. When it comes to our Jesus and he bought me a house, and I always say, Jesus bought that about the exchange. But you just try. I said, no. I mean, Jesus got an account somewhere, right? And he's got to have. Right. I'm like, but when we hear stuff like that in the Black community, we don't challenge it. We validate it. Yes, the Lord did it for me. My sister Caroline, she was sick, and God cured her. We never talk about doctors or hospitals as having agency. And then we're shocked that we don't represent doctors.
Right.
Did you know that in the last 40 years, I don't have a statistic, but you can look it up, no person identified as Black earned a doctorate in the sciences for almost 50 years.
Wow.
And I say to them, you don't see where that's coming from? You're doing that.
Like you believe in?
Yeah, but I'm saying we're not looking at the consequence of that.
Right, Richard.
Little Black boys are not growing up to want to be a doctor.
Right.
They want to be a football player, anything. And when I start having these kind of conversations, everybody backs up, gets quiet, or start making sympathetic things or telling you they didn't know it. And I'm saying, come on now.
Well, you know, I talk about this statistics all the time. Only 7% of all high school students gets college scholarships all over America. Only 1% gets go to pro. We're only giving our children 1% chance of success.
But let me tell you, but when you tell them that, boo-boo is different. My boy, man, it's what I'm trying to say to you is we're always quoting statistics and we're always talking about what happens, but we never get to the core issue of why it's there. And it's all there because of us.
Yep, perpetuation.
And we need to stop it. I don't listen to me. First of all, nobody cares. You know, I always tell them, if you're that hung up, why are you arguing with me? Go over to UNO. They got a fucking anthropology department over there. Oh, yeah. And they offer a PhD in astrophysics, and you're up here taking on this little Black man.
Right.
I become your poster child for wrongness.
Well, you are high academic.
But listen to me. But there's a fucking university on Dodge with whole departments that grant PhDs in the shit. Right. And so if you're that certain of what you think and who you are, why the hell are you bothering Omowale?
Right. Well, you know, you're the only one that had those interesting conversations.
No,
because actually, no one else. I've never seen I've never seen no one proactively.
You don't know about UNO.
Oh no, I know about UNO.
Okay, stay with me. Stay with me.
I'm talking about just being proactively.
And I'm telling you that ain't the reason because they know UNO is there, and they know that you can get PhDs in the sciences. And if you're that concerned with what I said to you, which comes from that academic pantheon, why don't you go tear it down for teaching it?
Oh yeah, they won't do that.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, they won't do
So,
that.
and it's not nothing to do with my presentation. Let me tell you, we're taught to do that. We're taught to destroy and tear down each other
Mm-hmm.
to protect ignorance so
Mm-hmm.
that we stay where we are.
Right.
I got attacked. Listen to me. Attacked for writing on Facebook that the University of Nebraska was tuition free. And this is what I got. I'm thinking I'm going to get what? I didn't know. And I attached their door again, acting like the only way you can be smart is go to blah, 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 blah. So, in other words, I just told you a way that you and your children can get a free education. But your response was, that's your black ass once again pushing yourself up like you're some supreme being telling us that we don't have a. You see how we? I'm just
right. I do.
I'm just about to think, man.
I agree with you. I agree with you.
And I'm saying to you that you and people like you and I need to stop it.
Mm-hmm. So we're going to have this conversation again because again, the only way to ignite it is to talk about it.
Well,
and the only way to change it is the dialogue.
Yeah, and go to and listen and go to black people see going to college as status symbol. You get the bread. Oh, I got. That's not why you go to college.
Mm-hmm.
You go to college so we can have conversations, so you can be broad. But they don't see college as a way to learn. We see it. I'm gonna take these courses. I'm gonna memorize shit. I'm gonna regurgitate it back. I'm gonna get a grade, and I'm gonna keep doing that till I took all the courses. Mm-hmm. And then I get to get out, and everybody tells me I'm smart and buys me a car. Mm-hmm. It's not about your growth as a person.
Right. Yeah, I grew as a person in college.
Confront it. That's what it is. Those of you who can't, because it's difficult, but if you can't, you need to confront that. You need to confront it, and you need to change it because our culture. And you need to buy my book too, Waiting for the Sister Killer. and it's a. Let me tell you. I know you're gonna say. Of course, I'm saying it's a great book.
Okay. So why you say fictional?
Because the basic is my life, but it's a written piece.
Okay.
So there are liberties with a written piece. It's not to be taken like absolutely, but it's my life through my lens, and everybody likes it.
Okay, great. Now,
and I brought you this too.
Tell us about your network. How can people take advantage of your network?
I got to rid of my mouth. The network is a physicalization of me virtually. It's Ape Network TV, APENETWORK TV.com. Oh, and William, you already know this, so please don't ask me why and all that stuff. As you know, because I'm confronting this stuff, black people get really angry with you. You better not, because you know that. Oh, no, so I say all that to say, you really are missing a great opportunity to learn all these things that I'm telling you about. And you should watch it. The woman I told you I was speaking to today, and I asked her what galaxy we were in. She never answered, by the way. And I want you to start doing things like that. Ask people, what galaxy do we live in? How old is the Earth? Do you know how the solar system works and how these planets are? We live in a galaxy. You do know that, right? Mm-hmm. And it's the Milky Way galaxy.
That's what they call it, Milky Way.
Yeah, and this Earth is 4 billion years old. We know how we know how planets evolve, and there are billions of galaxies in this universe. So, do you realize how infinitesimal we are?
So, do you believe?
No, I don't believe anything. You can ask me what I accept or what do I know.
Okay.
It's not beliefs.
Okay, what do you? I don't accept UFOs. Do you accept UFOs?
Yes.
I haven't seen one.
Now I'm gonna put it like this.
Now I believe in invisibility.
You know what you remind? I keep wanting to call people names. Look, I always get in trouble, man. Cause I just ready to call this student's name because he was really something. But I remember he was one of those flat earthers, and I was like, oh, it was so crazy. I'm like, no, I'm not gonna have that conversation with you because that's too ridiculous.
Right.
But to answer your question, the Milky Way galaxy has billions of stars. Like, you know what? I was surprised how many adults don't know the sun is a star. And I always say, we need to stop calling it the sun. That's a star like you see at quote unquote night. And stars all have, most all of them have a planetary arrangement. And there are billions of stars. So you know planets there are.
Right.
And then this is just one galaxy, and there are billions of galaxies. I find it utterly impossible to think that no other planet developed the way this one did. Maybe like life forms may have come about. I don't. I think we're wrong.
Yeah, because if we came out,
Or that flies. I don't know that they would necessarily. But yeah, the idea that there's some. Yeah.
Yeah, because from reptiles to man, if you come out with just organism that came out the water,
the possibilities are infinite. But I would think it's impossible that this situation in some way did not repeat.
I asked myself before we get out here. I asked myself while I'm driving around, why do I exist? I don't have to exist, and if I didn't exist, I wouldn't know that I didn't exist.
Well, that gets. I used to teach this class on that subject of asking common sense questions about things, and I always start the class like this. I say to them, in your head right now, say, "My name is William." In your head, do it. Did you do it? Did you hear anything?
I heard myself talking to me.
You did?
I know. I not physically.
Did you hear?
I didn't hear it. I just thought it.
So, what's a thought? Can you have thought without language?
Probably.
See, now
I don't know. I don't know because I always know language. No. Actually, children when they come out, when they born, they thinking they use crying.
You're being Western again.
Well, I mean,
you're being Western again. I'm just trying to get you out being. You already. You know what? Let me tell you this. Not that you need me to tell you this. You're clearly an extremely smart man. You don't even need that. The question was, did you hear anything? Okay. But then you said, I thought it. And then I said, what's a thought? We need to start realizing that a conversation is not a contest between intellects.
Right.
And then you went out to start. You don't need to do that. Right. We've already been there. I'm like a lawyer. Academics are. We never ask questions we don't know the answer to.
Okay.
So I'm not going to get into that. That'll be our next show. But I will say this to you. I asked you to do that because you asked, why am I here? And because we're conscious. We're conscious molecules. We can think about thinking about. And the question becomes in science is, why did we develop that? Everything. And the most dominant response is, which I really got to let this know. I'm always telling people race is a social construct. And they always going, I got melanin has nothing to do with your being black. But humans come out of Africa. We know that. And to get to all these other areas, there's a area in Africa. In order to go east, you had to cross these terrains. And they said we forced ourselves into consciousness to be able to do. In other words, it took millions of years for us to even establish that I'm thinking and you're thinking, and I can communicate that to you. So that took millions of years before we understood that. And I always ask people, where did language come from? Like, it didn't start with a dictionary.
Right.
We don't actually know. We know, but we can't be there. It's so deep in our human antiquity that you can't, but we know how it had to happen. Sounds were made. Right. They started to mean things. Then we have a common
sound.
That took millions of years. So to answer your question, I go with the theory that consciousness evolved in us like everything else biologically. It was a need. And they say the predominant accepted theory is to leave Africa, we had to think our way out of it, to cross boundaries, which forced us to think about thinking.
Right.
So I think, and to answer your question, ultimately, you already know the answer to this, even though you asked it. There is nothing. We're just, when stars explode, we're just stardust. And we think that we have a body and then we have a soul, which is our consciousness, that they're separate from each other.
Right.
They are not. Your thought, the reason I asked you what's the thought, and I say that in your head because I was fucking with you to get you to see fire. Your thoughts and your self that we call soul and all that, it's not separate from your physical self. It's not, you got to, I always say the physical body is dead, but the spirit lives on.
Right.
No. All of that is head.
Okay.
All that is in your head. It's all synapses firing. Everything is physiological. When you got a mental problem, they give you pills because you can fix a mental issue through physical manifestations. Yeah.
Without a doubt.
So
anything that we didn't discuss?
No,
Doctor?
just it was a great opportunity, and I'm hoping people listen, and I'm hoping that we've encouraged someone to be brave enough to accept what they already know to be true.
Without a doubt.
And to not be afraid of being pushed out. I tell people all the time, I saw this cartoon, it was all these cows lined up and they were going into the slaughterhouse. And they just all going. And this one cow was sitting over by itself. And the other two cows were saying, oh, that poor thing. Nobody likes him. And they were going in the slaughterhouse.
Right.
You get that?
Right.
Stop being afraid to speak truth and to acknowledge science and reality, to stay part of a group. And I tell people all the time, you cannot boycott a store that doesn't want you in it.
Right.
Do you think I miss being around hearing that?
Right.
Like, really? I got a full life I lead. We do it to stay part of the group.
Right.
Because if you stop that, they're going to push you out.
Are you part of a frat or anything like that?
Yeah, oh, absolutely. I'm a Phi Beta Sigma.
Okay.
That's been a tough one for me.
But you're part of a group. I have never really joined a group. I've always been an individual.
Nobody's an individual.
Oh yes, I joined a church, but I don't go to church. I'll run my own church.
No, I got you,
but because I joined them, I did go to the Masons, but when I went downstairs, it's like any other organization. There's disorganization, and they get mad at me all the time because the frats and sorority, they dance and our kids are failing.
That's not my problem with it. That's not why our kids are failing.
Oh yes, it is. Yes, it is. Yeah, if you got a Greek mindset and a Roman theology, just like you said, we regurgitating. So if we got all these intelligence, with all these degrees, why aren't we building parallel structures?
We just talked about that.
Because that's the only way.
Well, I agree with you that that's a mindset that could contribute, but that's not the causation of it. Not many people are part of Greek organizations, but that mindset is certainly contributory. But that's not why our kids are failing.
No, I'm not saying that. The reason why but we got national organization, Southern Christian Urban League, NAACP, even the Nation of Islam, who got a national. All of them got a national reach, but no one's talking about nothing to solve our problem.
Well, because we just talked about it. In order to do that, they have to deny systems within that institution that they don't want to. If to have a mysterious deity, you have to reject science.
Right.
So they can't go but so far.
Wow.
If you push them too much, they're gonna block, because community is different than a fraternity. It's family, it's mom and dad, it's all that stuff. So when this person told me my family disowned me, I was really hurt by that, because you have a person who's trying to grow and they use their tactic. That's what the tactic that Black people use to keep people from being intelligent. Kindness and being is ostracization. I'll push you out of the group.
Right.
So we stay part of the group. And Omowale is like, I don't, I will put you out. And I will. I've had to ask. I'm like, I will. If you start talking craziness to me, and I'm gonna try to be kind and say, no, let's not do that. Let's eat the apples in the barbecue. But I don't even want that around me. I got lots of stimulus. I have a group of professor friends that meet on the phone about once a month, and we just talk about what's going on in our classes. I have all this stuff, but we ostracize and we don't challenge. So when people say things to us that God got me through a heart attack and all of that, and you've been in the hospital, you're taking those pills, we don't question. Ain't God good?
No, I told you earlier, and not having a lab. So
But deep.
So I actually
that's very deep.
Yeah, guys. So I was saying I test God, and then
no, you're not testing God. There's no God to test.
Right. So I said I'm perpetuating, and so
be brave, young brother.
We got to have some type of energy. I don't know if it's I know for a fact I've been hearing, and I pray to my ancestors. I don't pray to Jesus.
You shouldn't pray to anybody. There's no such thing as prayer. Right. Speaking out loud like we're doing right now is not there. Listen to me. That whole frame is fucked up, William. The idea that I speak out in a room, that I did. Look.
Right. So that's why I know my mama for a fact. And if there's somebody on the other side, I know my mama's advocating for me. I don't know Jesus.
It doesn't matter. There's no Jesus to know.
Right.
We'll talk about the Council of Nicaea next time.
Okay. Yeah. I do want to talk about that.
Yeah. But there's none of that exists.
Right.
And I'm saying to you that if persons who you can be a fool for me to be around me is not a person you need to be around any goddamn way. Because I'm not going to be I think what bothers me more than anything is back to our original conversation. Books, I do all this work. That the fact that you will even think or want me to be that stupid with what I've done is an insult to me. Because that's the way we are. Like I said, if you really believe that, why aren't you over at the university? That's where why it is.
That's why
you're not against me. You're against science. Go for it.
Right.
I'm not gonna sit there and argue religion with you. We did that show. I really didn't want to do that show first, but ASO was insistent.
Right.
And we did. It's not like I'm stupid. I thought you were gonna be like happy.
Right.
I already know what you think.
Right.
I already know how you act. I already get it, but I'm not going to be a fool for you for anybody.
Right.
Okay. I wouldn't go stand up at that university and tell those white kids that. We just need to stop acting like there's a belief. Well, nobody cares about. Look, when I was in Africa and I was going to, I was in Lagos and all these other people, the people believe in goats.
They do?
Yes. Every human society constructed a way to explain itself. And nobody cares about that. Nobody cares about what Reverend Juju doing over at Salem. Nobody gives a shit. And if it had meaning and you really thought it had meaning, you would go to the institution that represents and attack that.
Right.
But you come to the black man, my own brother, I'll kill you. I've had that said to me. I will kill you for saying those things. But I'm not going to go over here and touch those professors over there. Right. And they do know it's there. Let me tell you, we know exactly what we're doing.
Oh yeah.
And you're doing a good thing. You always asking what you should do. You're doing it. Having this conversation on your show is probably the closest some people have ever been to having someone literally say to them what they already know. I told Aso this. He still disagreed, but that's okay.
Mm-hmm.
They think we agree on everything. We disagree on a lot of shit.
Oh yeah.
But I told him, I said, brother, because he did do a great thing.
Mm-hmm.
I said, but you know what? Everybody already knows that. Everybody knows that what they know isn't true. They know that's not there. They already know that. We're not teaching them. The point of the conversation is let's talk about stuff so that we can acknowledge what it is that we claim to believe in is doing to people. Because when that minister sat there, I don't know if you've seen the whole show. If you haven't, you need to watch it.
Yeah, I watched it when y'all was interviewing.
It's stunning that we heard him, but nobody said anything about what he said. They just started attacking us. But nobody discussed the things.
Well, he comes from the Baptist church.
I know, but I mean, think about what that means.
I already know they defend. They're gonna defend.
They're defending. That's what they do, and they don't listen to understand. They listen to respond. They just waiting for you to get through so I can tell you my opinion.
Right.
And we hate academics because that's the thing that always I can't come from. But that was brilliant what you said about we don't have a lab. That's really deep. Mm-hmm. You can't have a lab. And so when you come at them like this, mm-hmm. then they're going to attack you for being the know-it-all smart guy who thinks because he went to college and he's got these alphabets. But I'm just telling you how it operates.
Right. Yeah, because I'm curious. I'm trying to get to the truth. Yeah. And we've been taught so many mistruths.
No, they won't listen to me. Yeah. You probably going to be like, hey, so we go back and forth on this. That's not the problem. These people know. Mm-hmm. They know, if they really thought that what they said was true, they'd have a lab, like you say, mm-hmm. and they go over to this university. Right. They know where it is.
Heck yeah,
they're not knowing. They want to keep. It's been in our read John Hope Freckles' book. He breaks it all down. There was a time when as you know, we weren't allowed to read, but we were given this religion for what it's doing. Right. It kept millions of people out there picking cotton mm-hmm. for 400 years.
Right.
And that psychology is like a biological entity. It gets passed on too.
Right.
Hurt, all of that.
Yeah.
So it's so deep in our community.
Yeah. So
it's like tearing away your heart.
Are we ever going to get out of this? Because they're building more jails, brother.
Okay. That's a good question. I want to answer that.
They're building more jails. And they base it off the education or the dropout rate or the what do you call that? When they expel kids out of mm-hmm. school,
suspension and all that.
Yeah. So mm-hmm. Senator McKinney put a bill to stop kindergartners, 5-year-olds from being kicked out of school. OPS fought against it.
Yeah, well, I'm not surprised.
Why would they fight it? I mean,
I'm not. Let me tell you.
Come on, man. I mean,
William, you're talking to. Let me tell you. You know what? Which, they could never. The reason I never worried, they always say, I'm like, what can you do? I represent the reality of scientific thought and understanding.
Right.
Well, they can't come for me. I love that. I'm still in that line though. They don't have a goddamn lab. So they know they can't come for me.
Right.
What they try to do though is dethrone you. I'm going to make you so outside the box that you're not going to be listened to. That's what they try to do. And I say to them all the time, that doesn't work. That works with out in your little space over at Salem and whatever them churches you go to. What has that done to me? I live in a world of academics and scientific inquiry. You can't come in my world and do anything. Right. Nothing in my world was impacted. That's the one thing, and you're going to find this in my book. That was the one thing that hurt me was how long it took me to realize that. Mm. That how I allowed people to hurt me, to be in my head, mm-hmm. and I really hate that it took me so long to see that.
So for another young man or another young woman or person going through what you went through, what advice would you express it
Bring tears to my eyes.
to that
I
person?
went down to Austin, Texas. They had a group of people there who read the book,
Uh-huh.
and they invited me to come and speak to them.
Okay.
And it was one of the most humbling things that ever happened to me, William, because when I got there, I walked in the room, and this room just burst into applause, and I'm like, "Well, what's up?" And they were, and you know, people think it being funny. That's so humbling.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't come from that. I told you my story because I come out of Black culture and what it did to me.
Mm-hmm.
With all the work that it did to try to dethrone me, to try to bring me down so that I didn't become this voice,
Right.
has been horrific.
Did that make you the man you are? All that it did make you stronger to write books,
No,
to produce
oppression makes nobody. You know, I just wrote
produce
about that.
produce movies
No,
for
no, it would. They tried to stop that. The last thing they wanted was me to write a book or to make a film or to run a network. And they think that if I don't support your network, then I'm showing you. I'm put. I put this on Facebook because my editor in LA, he made these clips and he created this TikTok page, and it got 50,000 views in less than 3 days. We got over 26,000 hits. And I say to them all the time, what you don't realize is you really created a box for yourself. I always love that image of the person standing at the glass wall and they're both telling each other, I'm going to get you out.
right.
That's where we are. We think you created your community. I love that lab. You don't have a lab. It's you created fear from abandonment to keep people where they are with you. I really don't understand. I don't even have to come, like I said, Dr. Burgess says, to even have a conversation with someone about something that you know is ridiculously impossible validates it. So no, I'm not gonna sit there and argue with you whether or not it's made out of blue cheese. Some guy appeared out of nowhere with biological institutions with language, and it's just really fucking ridiculous. So it was never designed to make somebody look like a fool. I'm just saying to us, you already know that.
Right out.
Come on now. But ASO and me get into it because he feels they really don't. I said, no.
Oh yeah. I mean, people know it. They're just complacent. They go with the flow. They work for massa, so they're going to say so much.
Yeah, but look at what they're doing. I just want to say this last thing. You really don't know what you're doing to hurt people. You know, I admire brother ASO so much. And there should be more people like him. And I've told him this before, but I don't think he believes me. I really don't. I have never met another Black man in real life like ASO.
Oh, he's very unique. He's a very talented brother too.
But he's very smart and he's fearless in his beliefs. And he's helped so many people. What they don't get is the network gets so many positive comments from people about, wow. I want to finish it because I believe it. I was down in Austin and they had this group of people. And they really was humble and they applauded. I really was like in tears. I'm like, wow, I'm Omowale. And it was like, you're a real something. And so we started talking about the book. There was a young man there. I can't remember his name now. He was a young Black man. And he said, you know why I liked your book? I said, why? He said, you saved my life. I said, how? And I'm going to tell you real quick the story he told me. He said that he and his brothers, he said it was just all brothers. They didn't have a sister. They were all in different homes.
Foster homes.
And his mother was a lifelong drug addict. And he said, I really didn't even know my own siblings, man. And he said that he just worked really hard. He was working at the ACLU, because that's who had invited me. And he says, I got to college, I got a master's degree, and he said, but the horrors that happened to them, the abuse and the things, and never being around his siblings and his mother, a lifelong addict, in and out of jail. So he said, he was living. I didn't see. He said, I live in an apartment and I have a partner. And he said, he told me, I can't remember, his partner was had a master's degree. They were, he said, we're doing good. And he said, my mother has been so nasty and wrong so many people that nobody in the family would take her in. And he said, I was out one day on a walk, and he said, I saw my mother. And she, she's homeless and she was living under the bridge. And he was like, that's still my mother. Mm-hmm. And he said, I picked her up. And he said, first, I went to Walmart because she was filthy and her clothes. And he said, I bought her clothes and I took her. He says, I called my partner and told him I saw my mother and I took her and I want to bring her home and clean her up. He said his partner told him, absolutely, of course. And he said, so I want to let you know I'm bringing her. He said, when they got the door, his mother, he said she had heroin addict, just horrible. Mm-hmm. He said when they got to the door, he put the key in the door, he was open, and he said his mother grabbed the arm and said, I just want to let you know, I don't agree with your life. I hate you and what you're doing. Mm-hmm. And he said, I let that through. Was thrown away by a drug addicted mother who fucked us all up. I see her on the street because nobody will speak to her or do anything for her. I buy her clothing. I bring her to my place to try to help her and pull her up. And her response to him was, I want to let you know, I don't like what you do. I don't agree with you, and I don't like it, and I don't like you for doing it. Mm-hmm. He said, that's deep, Omowale. Mm-hmm. I said, it is. He said, but I thought about how many times I allowed people to do that to me and never thought about it till I read your book. Mm-hmm. But see, that's how deep it is in the Black community. Brother Aso has really helped me understand. The Black community is so anti-human, so anti-science, so anti-bias, this gender binary, that everybody in this community thinks is better than anyone in there. I tell people all the time, I've had crack addicts come to let me know, you do what you do. I'm like, you're a crack addict. And you really think you need to come to this PhD to let him know you're okay with him. But that's the way the Black community thinks. You get me? Right. So the problem isn't what's imposed on us, Brother William. The problem is us and our refusal to respond and attack it. But I get that too. I tell people all the time, I get it. I know what they'll do to you. I'm a victim of it.
Right. Right. Somebody got to be brave if we're going to change the destiny of our young people. And,
yeah. Well, you're doing a good job, and I really mean that. You're doing a good job to host this show. I'm going to give you a donation.
Appreciate your love, big brother.
Really, you're doing a great job to even.
Well, my mama picked Conde. They couldn't talk. You come from that same heritage. Ancestors couldn't talk, so I'm making sure that we do the correct thing, yes, and make sure that we actually love our neighbors, no matter who our neighbors are.
Well, we got to do this, and we need to start talking about making this show worldwide. We really do need to have people who it shouldn't require bravery, but are brave enough to confront our community with its fallacies that we procreate.
Right out.
Because see, I'll go to them, by the way. You don't know. I'll go to the church and tell them exactly what I think, and I've done that.
Well, they call me Reverend New Hope, though. New Hope you got.
So, they won't come in my territory and do it.
Well, I wrote my own Bible. I got my own Bible. I don't go with their Bible. My first scripture is, don't do what I do. That's my first scripture.
Okay.
My second scripture is, do what I do.
No, let me tell you again, it's wonderful what you do. Right. You really need to continue to expand this platform and to do things. Um,
Well, I'm gonna lean on your expertise because that's the world you come from.
yeah, well, let me tell you, you're doing a good thing, and you're a thinker, and you're open-minded, and you might be cutting the second ASO, I know,
Mm-hmm.
because that's the only brother I know in like what I call real life.
Mm-hmm.
That's where because I ask him all the time, what happened to you? I do. I'm
Right.
like, it's completely fearless.
Right. Man, you gotta be that way. You gotta be that way. I mean, I don't know. I don't know upbringing. Maybe because my mama was very. She couldn't read or write, but her common sense was on the PhD level. I'm gonna tell you how she taught me not to hate my father.
Okay.
So, of course, my mom couldn't read or write. So my dad was in the Air Force, but he lived majority of his time overseas. I think I met my dad maybe about 10 times in my life, maybe. And so as a young boy, I was yearning for my dad's uniform. I was yearning for my dad, but he wasn't around. And so my mama always wanted me to write to him, but I hate writing to him because he wasn't there. But I had to listen to my mama. So I wrote those letters. And, indirectly, my dad wrote back. And he actually responded to my sentences, my paragraphs. And so indirectly, my mama taught me. Me and my dad we had more have a writing relationship. We had a writing relationship. So when he did come back, we hung out. But indirectly, my mama taught me not to hate my father because we had that writing relationship. He responded back to me,
Right.
and that was that little thing is so big to a child. And I tell you guys, Father's Day is coming up, and we promote Father's Day for a reason, man. We do it for a reason. We need men to men relationships.
Yes.
Period.
Yes.
If we the so-called leader, we got to be humble. We got to try to get our families back together. I miss my daughter. I know you miss your brother. It's always different circumstances that create divisions. But I'm telling you, y'all.
I don't. Let me tell you, and I don't mean that
Mhm.
nastily. Let me tell you why I say I don't.
Go ahead.
And I don't mean that nastily.
No, go ahead.
It goes back to you can't boycott a store that doesn't want you in it.
Right.
And it's not just, he's done that to everyone. And even if he hadn't, well, I don't even want that around me.
Yeah, right.
You
Yeah.
know, and I grew up in a very different household. I was born in the 50s. My mom and dad.
So you were born in the 50s.
I was born in 1956.
So you dealt with real racism for real.
And I keep telling these young brothers, y'all don't know who you fucking with. This that nigga.
Right.
I know all our shit inside out, but I started to say, my mom and dad, my mom married my dad when she was 14.
Okay.
My dad died at 95, and my mother was just nearly 90.
Okay.
And they were married to each other that entire time.
Oh, 80 years? Almost, what's that?
Over 70.
Ooh.
And so I grew up in this house with a mom and a dad who came from this background like you're talking about.
Right. Mm-hmm.
So see, I never had to deal with that. And I know now that the Black community doesn't really respect fathers and Black men. I had a comment. I can't say too much because I don't like for people to think you tell me something.
No. Because I take this very seriously. Because I'm a father. I'm a my grandson just called me Papa. The other day, I was so happy. He's 2 years old. He called me Papa. I said, "Oh man, he said my name." Man, it's so they got expectations for me. They want to see me alive. So I got a responsibility as the was it the matriarch or patriarch of the family to make sure that they got a conduit of opportunities. My responsibility, not no one else.
Yeah, and that was so beautiful, and that's why we need to confront these institutions. I'm trying to say this without, I don't want somebody to say you got a Williams show, but I've had many people say to me that my daughter or my whoever it is pregnant and they having a baby, and they get angry if you bring up the fault. Like I say, well, who's the dad? I don't know. It's my girl. I'm telling you, there's this thing in our community too, where the fatherhood thing doesn't mean anything.
Period.
They get angry at you if you ask about where's the dad. And so we're a patriarchal society in the way that you said, and we never see, but that needs to be confronted too. We it's like I don't. I'm one of those liberal people. I don't think you're supposed to be in any marital institution you don't want to be in or something. But we've gotten really accepting of. I'm gonna get pregnant and not get pregnant. I'm gonna have a child because we always put it on a woman. It's everybody's part of it, but we accept it as normal. That's a part of life now. Section 8, food stamps, 2 and 3 baby daddies. That's normal now.
It's not normal,
but we need to address it at the root. I'm like, y'all going around here talking about people, and I'm looking at this quote unquote community, and
that 2/3 of all are committed by Black women and brown women. So I mean, so we can't keep pointing finger at other people when we are the greatest killers. I know y'all don't like the abortion stuff.
Do you know how many friends I've had? Friends, close friends to me, I've had murdered by Black men.
Yeah, I had 2 brothers got killed.
No, I'm talking about centered around this gender sexuality.
Yeah.
I've had people murdered, and I'm telling you, we need to stop, because as Black men, you said something really powerful just now. We need to start building a community with each other. The white society doesn't give a fuck about what we believe. They don't care about your gender. They don't care about that. They're shooting a 16-year-old. They care. Do you think they care about being? I have a mind that needs to be satiated, and I think, and I want to know everything. It has nothing to do with being better than you.
No.
But I'm saying that's how we talk.
So, but to me, you got a curious mind. You just want to learn.
Yes, and they don't want.
Right.
They don't want that. I could help a lot of people, but I do what I can, and I've had a good friend, Ruby, and we talk all the time, and she always tells me, Omowale, your heart is too big. She would tell me that. You just give and you do, and these people, they're not thinking or appreciating it, and I've had to learn some things.
Well, sometimes when you have a big heart, sometimes people look at that as a weakness, but I know it's not a weakness. It's that's your weakness.
Yeah. Well, it's just that I'm very verbal and I get excited, and people always think of me as being this extroverted person who, and I can be that.
Right.
In the right context.
But I see a lot of
but
times,
they don't see me as
being an introvert. I see a time.
I had a friend tell me this, and he was the first person to actually say the word. He said, "You are such an introvert, and
you're a showman. To me, you're a showman. You're similar to myself. Yeah. When I'm on this,
but
mic,
they can't see that.
But when I'm on this mic, I feel comfortable. If I'm on somebody else's mic, I feel nervous. You know what I mean?
And it's hard for them to see that.
Right. So
such a loud.
Yeah. Because we're in character. I get a character on my mic.
Yes.
So no, to me, you're a naturally born entertainer.
I am.
And so some people are just like that. I got a homeboy like Robert Ice. He just and Miles. They are just naturally. They are naturally going to bring the energy. Naturally going to bring some fun to the situation.
Yeah.
Always.
And I'm a truth teller. You got to watch you need to watch the network. You would love my late night talk show. I do this late night.
I need to come and slide through. I need to be
you need to come. Yeah, we'll do the podcast. We have people. Let me tell you, you got to see me in that format where I'm coming out to do a monologue.
Okay.
And I'm being Omowale with it. It's cruel. It's profane. It's one of the rudest things I've ever seen. And that's the show where everybody always writes to say, wow, you taught me something.
Okay. Well, and then excuses FCC. The professor said a couple of F words. He did not mean to say it.
I'm George Carlin. Yeah.
So, nah.
Yeah, I'm sorry. But that network is amazing. And people who know me personally, they think that supporting that somehow supports me. And I keep telling them, we have tens of thousands of people who love this network.
Right.
You're hurting you.
right now. We got to start controlling our own networks, our own platforms. We got to stop making other people rich by using their platforms. Period.
Yeah.
We got to build our own parallel structures. Nothing against no one else, but we want to make sure that we're respected. Period.
Well, I would love that. But
Period.
again, they think you're this person who is challenging my religion and all these things that are important to me. You're this thing. I don't even know what you are. And I'm like, you don't know. See,
we're in the same boat, bro.
Look, you got to hear my podcast. Did you hear my podcast?
Not yet.
Oh wow! I told Dave Chappelle, a new asshole. Let me tell you, we need to do stuff. So I do have opportunities, but they don't want to. Okay. But you're the bad guy.
Well, hey, sometimes you gotta do what you gotta do. Omaha, man, we had a long discussion.
Yes,
almost 3 hours of discussion. My man Sam said, "Hi, Doc. Great conversation.
Thank you, Sam.
Who we got over here? Well, man, we appreciate y'all chiming in. Tell somebody.
And start thinking.
Yeah.
Okay. Nobody cares. I don't care what you believe. You can look. You can go to Salem, Coos, Newport, wherever you go. It doesn't bother anybody because you're not tearing down scientific inquiry or positivism in institutions. I'm asking everyone to accept reality and what we do and work together, like this man said. Our biggest thing is we don't work together, and it's not hurting me.
I'm gonna tell you guys an example. Back here, I argue with my Muslim brothers, my Christian brothers, my brothers. But I had the opportunity to go to Washington, D.C. to lobby, and I was invited to the Georgetown Club. Now, the Georgetown Club is a very prestigious club, like George Washington, John Adams, John Hancock. You got to have that kind of membership to get in there, right? So I'm with one of my congressmen, and that's how we got in there, because the congressman lobbies. He lobbies in both House and in the Senate. And so this is when Trump got elected, and there was an ambassador there, and there was a couple other lawyers in there, and I'm at the table sitting there listening to what they're talking, and basically all they was talking about, it wasn't, like you said, they weren't talking about no religion, they weren't talking about no gender, they weren't talking about nothing else. Only thing they were talking about were words, paragraphs that leads to dollars. That's all they was talking about. And so, like my brother said, that we got to change our narrative and not worry about all this personal stuff that we have, or this belief system that we have against each other. And we just need to worry about words, paragraphs that's going to bring us dollars. And that's going to be doing things collectively and not focusing on what actually is conquering. Well, that was not worrying about what's dividing, that's actually conquering us. Okay.
Yes. We do the work for them. We do the work. We do the work for them. Okay.
Yeah.
Thinking. This really last thing, because you brought us about that. There was this young woman. I think listen. She's gorgeous, but it's not. That's not that really makes her stand up. But she's gorgeous,
right?
And I always look at her and I go, "God, you're gorgeous," because she's always saying, "I can't." I'm like, "How do you? If you can't find something, it's a messed up world." And she's really effervescent, and she loves working with people. So I talked to her. Do you ever see that show, Iyanla Fix My Life on?
I never seen that.
Oh, it's excellent. And she goes in and she does the dirty work with Negroes. And they're falling apart, baby mama, all of that shit. Right. And she goes in and wow, I love it. I said, I want to develop a show like that.
Oh, she the third first lady?
Yes.
I need to talk about. Okay, yeah.
I love Iyanla Van Zandt.
Oh, yeah.
So I thought this young woman, I was like, I want to develop a show like that for the network. And I'm like, I think you would be perfect. And so she was like blown away. I was like, no, you're perfect. I can see you now dressed up with the stuff and talking that madness and fixing. And so she was like, are you serious? I was like, yeah. So we started talking. We weren't 3 minutes in the conversation before she started telling me that she was going to tell people to go to church and pray. I said, what? No. I want Iyanla, you're going to go in there and give real advice and talk to them about how these, Iyanla was always talking about, it's generational. I got to go back to see what grandmama did, to know what mama did, to know what happened. I'm like, no, baby. I'm like, you can't get on TV and do that. I'm like, first of all, that's our little stuff. I'm thinking you could be the person that goes into these families around the world and fix stuff. Not go, but see, I say that to say, all that thinking keeps us in the same place.
Right.
I was offering her what I really felt would be an opportunity for her to become a universal messenger. Mm-hmm. But see, we're so caught up in that thing, I can't offer you ways to get out of it. Because, I mean, listen to me, William, if you were to meet her, you'd be like, Omowale. I don't need no more children. She's amazing, but that's how she thinks. And I'm like, damn. But I'm still looking.
Right down.
Okay.
Well, Omaha, what's your contact information?
My contact information. Okay. Well, you can reach me via the Ape Network, of course. That's apenetworktv.com. And I'm telling you, you need to go over there and check this stuff out. You would be amazed. I also have a website, omowaleakintunde.com. And you can reach me there. And through either of those, you can get to me. And my email is akintundeproductions@gmail.com. I would love to talk with you. I would love to hear your ideas about shows and stuff. And I'm excited. And William, again, thank you, man. We got to get back together because we got to talk about Council of Nicaea and all that.
Oh, yeah, without that. We won't get black because I'm trying to make sure that we educate it. And I'll just ride around my car and say, dang, God, is this all this stuff made up? It sounds like it's all made up. It's all made up. And
they know that.
And if it's made up, they will.
They know that. Yeah. I refuse to believe that in the 21st century, people believe in dust and come on.
They still believe it, and then they still practice cannibalism.
Listen to me.
Every third or fourth Sunday, they drink the blood and then they eat the body. That's like cannibalism to me.
That is, I never thought about it like that. Look, no. See, that's why I like to be around smart people. I don't like to be around people that are not thinkers and smart and trying. I love to be around smart people. I'm stealing that.
Oh, go ahead.
That is cannibalism. If you're drinking the blood and eating the body of a human,
that's cannibalism.
ASO's gonna love this because you're on his side on that point. But I still say I have way more confidence in people's intelligence. I don't think there's nowhere in the world people really, like I said, if they did, they'd be doing the other thing. They know that. They're afraid to be excommunicated from the Black experience. It's fear.
Mm-hmm. Wow. I'm telling you, be your own person, manifest you. That's what the higher being wants to happen, y'all.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just manifest you. Be the best you.
Except we're the higher being.
Mm-hmm. Yep, without doubt. We're able to manifest whatever man or woman think of, so is he or she. I truly believe that. And that's why my theology lab per se is me taking one step and God per se taking two steps. So now some people say it's energy. Some people don't believe in God. I don't know.
Back to that believe. Listen to me. Nobody cares. I just want to say this. What we believe. Look at universal civilizations. They got goats. They pray to mountains. Nobody cares about that. What I care about and what you clearly care about is how do we grow as a person and how do we not hurt a person's opportunity. I really don't care what you all do in that context. Yeah. What's that going to change?
Yeah, as long as you hurt other people. Today,
I even thought about getting that money myself. Go in there and give me some 10%.
Okay. Hey, today we call it Tell the Truth Tuesday. You heard some truth here today, y'all. We actually practice telling the truth. What's wrong with being a little bit better than you were yesterday?
Thank you.
We consider ourselves a research radio station. Our goal is to modify our behavior so we're better individuals, better family members, and better citizens. Only way to do that is to actually do that. And we got to hear different dialogues. We got to be universal to the knowledge that we receive.
You need to be my Robert Stern. That Stern. What's his name? The radio guy, Howard Stern.
Howard Stern.
You need a worldwide platform. Yeah, we need to talk about that.
Okay, we make it happen.
Yeah, you can do it. I can see that.
Without doubt, baby. And so we came here we talked about it when the brother called me. I said, man, this is a discussion that needs to be happening. I know they've been debating in a unicameral about all this stuff, and I really don't understand it. But I've been listening to it, and if we want to stop all the stereotyping, then we gotta learn. We gotta listen to each other so we can have better understanding.
Absolutely.
And so,
Yeah. And happy Father's Day.
Yeah, happy Father's Day, fellas. We're bringing in Vogue to sing to the men.
I'm gonna be there for that.
And
I've always loved In Vogue, man.
Heck yeah, Melissa Morgan. So we got and then also we assembled a local gospel group of 4 young ladies, and we're gonna open up with some. We're gonna give some to the creator, and then we're gonna have a beautiful fellowship for fatherhood. Men, I'm telling you, men, and the brothers that's listening to us in Sarpy County, Dulles County, and East Omaha. Cause I just talked to one of the brothers that just got out of jail, and he said, man, he said I guided him through that time. I'm telling you, y'all, we gotta start loving self, because that's where it begins. We cannot love anyone else unless we love ourselves. Self-responsibility is also things that we need to we got to accept our own responsibility and quit blaming the white man or whoever else. Mama or daddy wasn't there. Forget that. We can't change the past. The only thing we can do is shape the future. And that's why Doctor is here, because we want to continue to shape the future.
Yeah.
All right. So that's what we need to do, y'all. Let's continue to shape the future. A little less criticism, unless y'all don't do it to Revenue Hope, the only hope you got. I could take it. But today is Tell Truth Tuesday. And on this day, that means to tell truth to yourself. So if you need to complete something, you need to finish something. If you need to go get help for something, go get it done. Be truthful to yourself. And then also accept constructive criticism, because there's nothing wrong with the criticism of love.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It makes us better. And I'm going to certainly come back, and I'm getting ready. I can't talk about it right now too much, but I'm getting ready to do a live presentation, and I'm going to want people to come and listen. So I have video, I have a lot of stuff I want to share, and we need to be pushing that. Right. And I'll let you guys know dates and location in a little bit.
Okay, cool. Also, where can they go see your movie, Wigger?
Okay. I guess I can say this now. I'm actually in the process right now of working out a film festival of my movies here.
Okay.
But guess where you can find that movie?
Netflix or HBO?
I am Netflix, goddamn. 8 Network has all my films, everything. So you can go on there and see it in high def, and you can order it on Amazon and all kinds of stuff. But it's available on 8 Network.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great. We have talent right here in our own community. We'll keep you guys in a 411.
I love Omaha.
Oh yeah, baby, I do too. We'll let you know when that film festival is going to happen. Are you going to be taking submissions? Is it going to be that type of bit, that kind of film fest?
It's just going to be an opportunity to see my films and have questions. You know, everything I do is
it's on the edge.
Yeah, so you know it's going to be quick. Yeah. So it's just an opportunity to see who I am and see the films and have a discussion with me about the issues in there and stuff.
Okay, cool.
So,
well, man, we appreciate you. God made everybody for a reason.
Did you promote my book? Did you hold my book up?
Here we go, baby. There we go. Everybody, go get the book. Was it a bestseller too?
Absolutely. It's Waiting for the Sissy Killer. And it's available on Amazon. It's available. You can get that on the network too. But it's available, and you can read the reviews. I'm always astonished by the things people say. So I'm not just saying it. It's a great book.
Make sure you guys pick it up, y'all. And then also the video, you got a video, racism, white privilege, and the social construct of racism. Yeah. So you pick that up also.
Yeah.
We always gotta learn, y'all. You never get too old to learn. That's why I ask them.
Yeah, we'll do more on the race day next time. We got to get white people to understand that it's systemic. This just by virtue of being born white. Right. You are beset with privileges. That's not class. That's not you got money in a beautiful home. Right. The privileges are the human things that we subconsciously associate with you. Right. That's why we run around here talking about yellow bones and
red bones,
all of that kind of stuff.
Omaha, the birds of blessed. Thank you for tuning in to 95.7 The Boss. Thank you for checking out the spirited conversation. We got to have conversation, y'all, that's going to stimulate the mind. It's our time, y'all. Without a doubt. Boss with us.
City Friday night, oh, going down again. Call your girl, yeah, and tell her rain. City Friday night, it's Friday night, it's going down again. Call your girl and tell her rain. There be